All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It is Wednesday, and you know what that means. Time for some Wednesday wisdom, diving deeper into the lost wisdom of the Pharaohs and the Hermetica, and diving deeper into the incredible wisdom of Hermes and Thoth. Hermes Trismegistus being the same person under many different names, or maybe not a person, ladies and gentlemen, but what is described as the sage god and the venerated figure of Hermes Trismegistus, Greek for thrice greatest Hermes. And so this, ladies and gentlemen, has been a fascinating series, and I've really loved it because we're diving into this week the eighth section or the eighth chapter in the Hermetica, and we're going into the hierarchy of creation. And in this chapter, Hermes summarizes his teachings on the way in which God creates and maintains the cosmos and all that it contains. And so last week we were going into the gods, which was talking about astrology or astrotheology, and the gods as planets, and the sun, and the moon, and as well the goddess Destiny, which was the black of the sky. And so that was very fascinating, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go back into a little bit about destiny. The words of Hermes says, these celestial powers, known by thought alone, are called gods, and they preside over the world. He's talking about the five visible planets and the sun and the moon. And so they are ruled by the goddess Destiny, who transforms everything according to the law of natural growth. And remember, as we've been going through this series, there's been a lot of these universal laws or natural laws that have been popping up that can create somewhat of a hierarchy of reality or a hierarchy of the universe. And we've been coming through this wisdom to discover a greater understanding of the nature of reality so that we can in turn hopefully increase the quality of our experience, ladies and gentlemen. And that brings us to today, the hierarchy of creation. And so without me rambling too much today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to dive right into it and let's get through it. And so, the hierarchy of creation. And once again, we're reading from the Hermetica, The Lost Wisdom of the Pharaohs. This is written by Timothy Freke and Peter Gandy. We're reading for purposes of teaching and commentary and expanding the mind, ladies and gentlemen. This is a Tarsher Cornerstone edition, so the Hermetica could be a much bigger work. This itself is a essential and illuminating volume for anyone interested, excuse me, in an introduction or an introductory version, because the Hermetica is a fascinating introduction to the intersection of the Egyptian and Hellenic cultures and the magico-religious ideas of the antique world. I like to call it the wisdom of the ages, or the lost wisdom from the previous golden age. It's essential and illuminating volume to understand the West's roots in Egyptian and esoteric thought. Esoteric and occult, ladies and gentlemen, the hidden, and for the select few. And so, it begins by saying, quote, God creates an ordering principle, the mind of the cosmos. So once again, start to think in a way of the hierarchy of reality. So God creates an ordering principle, the mind of the cosmos. And remember, in this series, we've talked multiple times about the mind of the cosmos, the primal mind. This was from an earlier section called the living cosmos. Thoth, Hermes, said, the primal mind, which is life and light, gave birth to the mind of the cosmos. And so for here, we are talking about, in the beginning, God creating an ordering principle, God being Atum in this spiritual tradition. Hope you got yourself some hot tea, ladies and gentlemen, or a beverage, and you're comfy, and we're ready. because this is always a fascinating and enlightening journey, especially from the words of Hermes. And so, the mind of the cosmos, this ordering principle continually organizes chaotic matter into a beautifully ordered physical cosmos. So just that sentence there is very deep. The mind of the cosmos, as an ordering principle, continually organizes chaotic matter into a beautifully ordered physical cosmos. Time is one of the principles by which the cosmos is ordered. The existence of time means that everything within the cosmos is constantly changing, but in a measured way. God is the goodness that creates life. The mind of the cosmos is the fundamental laws of nature. So see, we've been discovering these natural laws, which are important to understand because it's how we can begin to use our understanding of reality to work with the universal and natural laws in order to hopefully influence our journeys while still falling in with natural law or our natural way. Remember yesterday, the Tao Te Ching said, follow the natural way of your life. And I questioned, how is it that we could come to know our natural way? And what does that actually mean? And that's something to constantly contemplate, because as I'll always remind us in this series, I think it's the most important thing, and I think that's why it was the first thing said by Hermes in this book here, or Thoth, is that in the prophecies of Hermes, pure philosophy is spiritual striving through constant contemplation to attain true knowledge of Atum, the one God. He says then after that, but speaking now in times of prophecy, I say that in times to come, no one will pursue this pure philosophy with single-mindedness and purity of heart. And it goes on to say that those with grudging and ungenerous temperament will try to prevent men from discovering, men and women, ladies and gentlemen, from discovering the priceless gift of immortality, as he describes it. Very fascinating. So once again, of the mind of God, and that is the ordering principle which continually organizes chaotic matter into a beautifully ordered physical cosmos. And then time being one of the principles of that physical cosmos by which the cosmos is ordered. And the existence of this principle of time means that everything within this physical cosmos is constantly changing, but in a measured way. And then God is the goodness that creates life. The mind of the cosmos is the fundamental laws of nature, the permanent and unchanging principles which govern life. The physical cosmos is the beautiful order of nature within which life exists. Time is the governing principle of the cosmos which produces change. Constant change is the process of everything living and dying. The cosmic mind is an idea expressed by the mind of God. Physical cosmos is a thought expressed by the mind of the cosmos. This is so deep, ladies and gentlemen. This is why this esoteric thought, spiritual, mystical wisdom tradition or philosophy has lasted for thousands of years, because there is more than just something to it. There is something undescribable to it, a power and a knowledge that goes far beyond what we've attempted to grasp so far. At least those of us that are this far upon the journey. There may be those that are masters, but I certainly do not claim to be a master yet. Still a young Padawan, ladies and gentlemen. But the cosmic mind, so this is something that could take many lifetimes of study, I'm getting, but building, like I've been saying in the previous episodes, building a diagram of this and, putting everything from the physical and the non-physical sides, because as we found out, they mirror each other, like Ra being, let's go back to that, because that's important. Scale of being, unlike Atum, the hidden light. Ra exists in space and time. We may see him with our eyes, shining the brightest in the cosmos. Placed in the center, Ra, the sun, unites heaven and earth, sending down energy from above, raising up matter from below, draws life to himself. See right here, Ra benefits not only heaven, but even the hidden depths of earth. And I often wonder what was meant by that, the hidden depths of earth. Unlike Atum, the hidden light, who is only known in thought, through attentive contemplation, Ra exists both in space and time. And I think it was saying that the sun, right here, it says later, Ra has tied the cosmos to him. The sun is an image of the creator who is higher than the heavens. Just as the supreme creator gave life to the whole universe, Ra gives life to the animals and plants. So it's this mirror image version that that form that can only be known through attentive thought. So there is this non-physical form of the creator, Ra, and then there is a physical form that gives life to the physical realm that we find ourselves in here on Earth, or throughout the rest of the physical cosmos. But then there is another principle that is not perceptible to the senses, as it says, yet must contain that substance. Yet what it is or how it flows, Atum only knows. Poetic words by Hermes, or Thoth. And so, this is very fascinating. I almost skipped forward again there, ladies and gentlemen, to the creation of humankind. That will be next week. And that is where my own personal bookmark is. And that is where I've gotten to in my own time of research. And I figured when I started this series, after we finished Wisdom of the Ages up there by Dr. Wayne W. Dyer, that's the red labeled one there. That was the first series we were doing on Wednesdays, and we went through that whole book through tons of different wonderful authors and poets and mystics and philosophers, handing down to us the wisdom of the ages. And then we found ourselves at kind of a crossroads or a turning point to decide what we were going to dive into. And so I think we did one episode from Howdy McCoskey's Expositions Exposed, or Exposing the Expositions, which is a fascinating subject that I still want to dive deeper into. I've researched that for about a year or two, the whole Tartarian, old world last. See, it's interesting for me because that links to this idea of a previous golden age, or an advanced, advanced in consciousness and advanced at a mental, physical, and spiritual level. A society that would be described similarly to, what we would think of as Atlantis. But, ladies and gentlemen, back to what we're talking about here in the Hermetics and the philosophy of Hermetics, and this occult and esoteric spiritual or philosophical understanding, mystical understanding of how the universe works in the hierarchy of creation. Constant change is the process that comes from the principle of time. So the cosmic mind is an idea expressed by the mind of God. The physical cosmos is a thought expressed by the mind of the cosmos, and at the heart of the cosmos is the life-giving sun, which we just talked about, Ra, which is an image of the life-giving soul. At the heart of every person. See, there's these mirror images of each of these principles, and it would be very fascinating to see it laid out visually. And now, ladies and gentlemen, this one will be a shorter one today because our reading in our section is much shorter, but that's fine. Sometimes these go on longer than the attention span of some. And so let's dive into now the words of Hermes Trismegistus, thrice greatest, Thoth. The hierarchy of creation. Thoth begins by saying, Atum creates the cosmic mind. The cosmic mind creates the cosmos. The cosmos creates time, and time creates change. The essence of Atum is primal goodness, and the essence of the cosmic mind is permanent sameness. The essence of the cosmos is beautiful order, and the essence of time is movement. The essence of change is life. Atum works through mind and soul. The cosmic mind works through immortality and duration. The cosmos works through turning and returning. Time works through increase and decrease. Change works through quality and quantity. The cosmic mind is in Atum, and the cosmos is in eternity. Time is in the cosmos, and change is in time. The cosmic mind is permanently connected to Atum. The cosmos is made up of thoughts in the cosmic mind. The cosmic mind is an image of Atum, and the cosmos is an image of the cosmic mind. The sun is an image of the cosmos, and man is an image of the sun. Man is an image of the sun, ladies and gentlemen. And that finishes the words in the teaching today on the hierarchy of cosmos from Thoth, Hermes, Hermes Trismegistus, thrice greatest. And as you can see, this is less of a philosophical description of the nature of reality, but more of an exact explanation, more of a detailed order, or what you would call a hierarchy of creation and reality, an occult or esoteric description of reality and the hierarchy of creation, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I mean, we could just leave it there because it said what it had to say, but as I always do, I'm going to try to give some commentary on what was put down there so I can kind of bring something from the Akasha or the ether into my thoughts and hopefully get it out to you, ladies and gentlemen. What, Thoth, would you have me say through these translated, handed down words of your own? I feel called to go back to this sentence here. The student of pure philosophy, Thoth says, studies the sciences. So this may be more like the science, or, but not as fanciful theories, Thoth says, but as devotion to Atum. And as we're learning in this description, there are all these things: the cosmic mind, the cosmos, time and change, and mind and soul, cosmic mind, It's fascinating. But all of this is in Atum. Cosmic mind being an image of Atum, which is in Atum. And then the cosmos being in eternity. So Atum is containing all of this. So I would like to describe Atum as the force, or as universal intelligence, or that which everything is within and nothing exists outside of it. I don't know. It's very fascinating. There's many ways. I'm thinking of it as the Tao is described. And so this animating life force has been described multiple times throughout these readings before. Atum. See, this was a funny, not really funny, but this was an interesting one, the initiation of Hermes. And when his senses were suspended in a mystic sleep, not a weary, drowsiness, he says full-fed drowsiness, but an alert and conscious emptiness, deep meditative state, I would say. Released from his body, he flew with his thoughts, and while he soared, astral traveling, I think, it seemed to me a vast and boundless being called my name and said, Hermes, what are you looking for? Who are you? He asked. I am the way guide, the supreme mind, the thoughts of Atum, the one God. I am with you always and everywhere. I know your desires. Make your concerns conscious, and they will be answered. And Thoth continued, or Hermes, show me the nature of reality. Bless me with knowledge of Atum, he says, but I'm thinking all of reality, this underlying universal force, this animating life force, grand organized design, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just going where my mind is called to take me here so that maybe we can try to understand this better. Pure philosophy has been replaced by the teachings of clever intellectuals with no mystical understanding of life. Right? Hasn't that happened? This is a quote from the book, but that pure philosophy has been replaced by the teachings of clever intellectuals with no mystical understanding of life, no interest in the mystical esoteric descriptions. The wisdom of the ages, ladies and gentlemen. Spirituality has come to be dismissed, easy for me to say, by science as a primitive superstition. And the profound wisdom of the ancient Egyptians is thought of as a dead religion and little more than an archaeological curiosity, or what some people would call mythology, ladies and gentlemen. But as we know, there's a lot more to this ancient wisdom than the quote-unquote intellectuals of our day. I forget the other word for it, but the scientific community, academia, I believe is the correct word, and the Smithsonian have done a great job of sweeping all of this greater knowledge and this wisdom of the ages, an esoteric and occult understanding of the true nature of the mystical understanding of life, and this pure philosophy in these mystery schools has been hidden from us. And this is what we went through, learning from the history of the Hermetica as we went through in the beginning of this series. I think it was like the first 4 or 5 episodes, and that honestly was my favorite part because I love talking about that time in history, going from Alexandria, the golden age of Alexandria, and then that coming to an end when the intolerant Holy Roman Christian Empire, despite the sophistication and cultural achievements of the ancients, Christian dismissively referred to them as pagans, which simply means country dwellers. But we know the connotation there was much more, like the term hippies or something like that. But, ladies and gentlemen, it was a great time, and there were great times throughout our history, and there were great minds throughout our history who were influenced by this profound wisdom, and this profound wisdom of the ages that comes to us from who knows where, really. It could have come to us from a time before our current recorded history, at least that's what we've been told of his story. But, ladies and gentlemen, it's very fascinating. The writings and the teachings of this philosophy that come to us from the figure of Hermes, a great and mythical teacher, venerated as a sage god, has influenced many figures. Shakespeare, Leonardo da Vinci, Newton, Blake. I mean, the list goes on. It's wild. And so this hierarchy of creation that we went through today, after last time the gods, each one of these would go perfect into each other. This hierarchy of creation, giving us a list of what comes from what. Like the essence of the cosmos is beautiful order. The essence of change is life. So without change, you actually don't have life, because it wouldn't be flowing how it does according to this natural law, which goes to the principle of time that comes from through turning and returning. Time works. No, the cosmos works through turning and returning. Time works through increase and decrease, quality and quantity, which is change. It's very fascinating. And so I'm feeling called to read this section here. It is a daunting task to present a new version of any work that is written in a foreign language and uses a distinct and unique conceptual vocabulary. And so in book XVI of the Corpus Hermeticum, which is, do I have the Corpus Hermeticum? That's a good question, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Kabbalion. This, yes, is the Corpus Hermeticum. Original manuscript, Hermes Trismegistus, 3rd century AD. This is a new edition, 2015, edited. It always makes you wonder if, hopefully it was as good as the original. But, ladies and gentlemen, so in the Corpus Hermeticum, Hermes writes, dealing with this idea of, translations that come from a foreign language and that have gone through the centuries and trying to get the true understanding of this through pure philosophy and spiritual striving, through constant contemplation to attain true knowledge of reality, of the Tao, of Atum. Hermes says, my teachings will seem more obscure in times to come. And when they are translated from our Egyptian mother tongue into that of the Greeks, translation will distort much of their meaning. Expressed in our native language, the teachings are clear and simple. So when I sit here and contemplate and ponder on these things, on this hierarchy of reality of the universe, of the cosmos, and sentences like cosmic mind is in Atum, the cosmos is in eternity, and time is in the cosmos, and changes in time, and that the cosmic mind is permanently connected to Atum, and the cosmos is made up of thoughts in the cosmic mind. When they are translated, Hermes writes, from our Egyptian mother tongue into that of the Greeks, translation will distort so much of their meaning. Expressed in our native language, the teachings are clear and simple, for the very sound of an Egyptian word resonates with the thing signified by it. That sentence is one of the most powerful to me. Really makes you think of resonances and frequencies and spelling and the real magic of words and the power that not a lot of people think that even exists. Not a lot of people even know that exists. That we are doing magic whether we like it or not all the time with our thoughts and our intentions and our words, what we speak and spell, quote unquote. And so, all possible measures should be taken to prevent these holy secrets being corrupted by translation into Greek, which is an arrogant, feeble, and showy language, unable to contain the cogent force. The force, ladies and gentlemen, of my words. The Greek language lacks the power to convince, which is why we might find ourselves in a time today where it is nothing but pure debate. And there are a few, each and every one of us knows when something has a certain kind of resonation to it. There's something more than just an idea. You feel something. And I think this is the cogent force that Hermes was talking about when he describes that the word resonates with the thing signified by it. And Greek philosophy, he says, is nothing more than noisy chatter. Now, that doesn't mean we're not interested in Greek philosophy, ladies and gentlemen. This is just Hermes relating the Egyptian language to the translations that will later come, which he's seen in his prophecies. Our Egyptian speech, he says, is more than talk. Its utterances are replete with power. So it's this idea that in the ancient Egyptian language, the sound of a word had a magical power which complemented its meaning. A view of language which we unconsciously retain when we talk of spelling a word, ladies and gentlemen. So translation inevitably means that we have lost this original power and clarity of this cogent force. Hermes teaches, however, that through the power of the mind, remember, ladies and gentlemen, all things are possible. Through the power of the mind. How much do you practice using your power of your mind? We have tried through the power of contemplation, which Hermes advocates to distill the essence of his teachings for a new generation of spiritual seekers. And that is what the book says, and I will say that is what we are attempting to do here, ladies and gentlemen, through this idea that pure philosophy is spiritual striving, spiritual arriving, I like to say, because we've talked about the philosophy of arriving rather than striving, through constant contemplation to attain true knowledge of reality, an attempt to get a greater understanding of the nature of reality, ladies and gentlemen, so that in turn we can increase the quality of our lives, and not only our lives, but the lives of those around us and those who will come after us in the future. And so with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, next week we will dive into the creation of humankind. Now, this is a good section, a good reason for you to get this book for yourself, to put it on your shelf so that you can come back and reference this, and I will in the future, and rewind this video to the reading of Hermes' words and pause it when you need to think of how each of these things are on a hierarchy and how they fall into different, levels in the hierarchy of creation, the hierarchy of reality and the functioning of the universe and the cosmos and God, ladies and gentlemen. These are always so deep. This one was especially deep because it's just literally a diagram breakdown, which is what we've been trying to get. So maybe one day we can do that, of the hierarchy of reality, of creation. Having discussed the principles by which God creates the cosmos and the gods, the astrotheology and theology of that, and the circle of time and the living cosmos and contemplating creation, ladies and gentlemen, and as well understanding the being of Atum and then the prophecies and the initiation of Hermes, we now come to next week's chapter, in which Hermes describes the making, the creation of mankind, the creation of man. That will be a fantastic, exciting one, ladies and gentlemen, and I no longer need to add my other bookmark, which is, if you recognize those. Fantastic, ladies and gentlemen. I really appreciate all the support that I get from all of you. Lapitosu, if that's how you say it, from yesterday, being there in the chat room, and also appreciate the support from the regulars that show up here on the premieres, A1 and Gorilla Press. And I love and appreciate all of you who spend time here with me trying to seek to discover the hidden wisdom of the ages and the hidden wisdom of the mysteries of reality, ladies and gentlemen, the mysteries of our history. So continue to do just that and give yourselves a pat on the back, because we are the select few and we are growing. We are part of a great revolution, which will be greater than any revolution that has ever taken place in our recorded history, and it will be a spiritual revolution, ladies and gentlemen. And so with that being said, continue to seek to achieve and maintain happiness through enlightenment, through a greater awareness and a greater understanding of the nature of reality, and continue to seek to discover the wisdom of the ages and the mysteries of our history. And also remember that happiness is the way. There is no way to happiness, because it is the way. It is what we must bring to life. It is an action, a practice. Because when we figure that out and we can do that, then all the things that we've been telling ourselves, oh, I'll be happy when I get there, or when I, get this, those become irrelevant, because we're already there. And then hopefully, ladies and gentlemen, the entire journey is wonderful. So once again, be sure to expand the description and find the link to get this for yourself, so you can put it on your shelf, ladies and gentlemen. And you can join along with me and Hermes and Thoth and Timothy Freke and Peter Gandy, the authors of that version of the Hermetica, The Lost Wisdom of the Pharaohs. As well, be sure to check out my Etsy shop with my landscape paintings, as well as a link to C60 Purple Power, the most powerful antioxidant known to man, discovered by Buckminster Fuller. Give yourself the gift of health, ladies and gentlemen. And so, once again, I love and appreciate all of you for being here with me, seeking after truth and pure philosophy through constant contemplation and spiritual arriving, to come to attain true knowledge of the universe, of the Tao, of God, of Atum. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back next week with some more Tuesday Tao, going through the wisdom of the Tao and how we can change our thoughts and change our life. Because when you change your perspective and your awareness, you can then experience a new reality. And also, we'll be back next Wednesday with the creation of humankind in the lost wisdom of the Pharaohs. And so hopefully we'll do some shorts in between now and then. And once again, thank you so much. I love and appreciate all of you. We'll see you next week. Be the change that you want to see, ladies and gentlemen. Be the example that we want to set. No.